Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of New Windsor. So today we are here for episode 47. We're going to be working on a sort of warehouse district, which is by that sewage treatment plant we made a couple of episodes ago. You know, I say a couple of episodes ago, but that was months and months ago. It's been so long since I've really been consistent with New Windsor. I really haven't been consistent with New Windsor since Columbia City started in, I think, last May. Wait. What? Let me check quickly. Did Columbia City start last May? Because in that case, time flies insanely quickly, but I think it did. Let me check this. Columbia City started, yeah, I think it was like last May. What? That is crazy. Yeah, 8 months ago. That's insane. It's so weird because it feels like just yesterday that Columbia City started, like episode 1 and episode 2, and then I was like the YouTube creator of the day or whatever. It feels like just yesterday. That's crazy. Anyway, enough. I'm rambling, and it's like a couple minutes into the video. You might notice there's different music on this video. So if you might remember a couple episodes ago in Columbia City, I mentioned that I wanted to possibly try using classical music in the videos and see how that worked, because I remember when Flux used to use classical music, I really enjoyed it a lot, and it was just something that was unique to his videos, that like it insanely good quality music that just happens to be copyright free just because it's so old. And I figured, okay, let's try this for my videos. I mean, I've been meaning to try this for so long, just using classical music. We're just using Chopin today, like nothing else. I'm downloading the stuff from this site called Muse Open, and yeah, I mean, hopefully you enjoy it. Tell me how you enjoy it. I don't know. I've just been using the same sort of music for so long. I want to just try something different because, yeah, it's like insanely good music, except it's also copyright free, so I'm able to use it in videos. So yeah. Okay, in game we're working on this warehouse district. This is like a vacant lot. There were a couple lots that had like shapes where I figured, okay, let's just make this a completely vacant lot. This is by that other side of town area that we made in like episode 16 or something, which was sort of the less wealthy side of town, which I have to do a lot of work sort of remodeling some of the areas with the new triple-decker houses, and then basically just placing the triple-decker houses and then boarding them up and stuff, because that was built so long ago and I wasn't using the right houses. I also have to do a live stream where I go in and just replace a bunch of the stuff. Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot to do, but I am just sort of grinding through. I'm enjoying using some of the newer vegetation that Mr. Mason released. You might have seen I used some of that earlier, like in that vacant lot. I just placed a bunch of those like autumn bushes. That was pretty cool. And generally, I'm just trying to grind through New Windsor right here. I got a comment on the last video, which was actually no, I'll probably talk about this again later and show it to you in game. But like, I got a comment on the last video talking about how, because last episode we built a pretty dense triple-decker neighborhood, pretty far from downtown, but then even closer to downtown, like half the distance, there's this really rural sort of looking area. Not rural, but like it's less dense suburbs. And then I thought that was possibly unrealistic, and maybe I should try to change that in the future. But I realized after reading a comment, I forget by whom, basically a lot of cities, due to topography or there being maybe a river next to downtown, they expand in weird ways where they'll just sort of expand away from downtown in one direction and really not expand away from downtown in another. So the idea is maybe New Windsor was sort of like that, where it expanded outwards in a couple of directions that were very easy to access geographically, but then didn't really expand to places that were closer to downtown until later. And those were more rural, I guess, but the denser development sort of happened further from downtown than areas that got pretty rural sorts of development. So that was an interesting comment that, and then that were just tied to a couple of different cities. So Omaha was one of them, where Omaha is sort of on one side of the river, and then what's this city on the other side? I forget the city on the other side of the river. But then another city like that, I think, was, I think Portland, Oregon was mentioned, which sort of makes sense because of just sort of the topography of Portland, where you've got this sort of big hill next to downtown, and then one side of downtown's, or like one end of the city is decently rural, very close to downtown, or not rural, but just less dense. And then you've got the sprawling suburbs at the other end. So that made a lot of sense, and I think that also makes sense for this city because we've got lots of different rivers separating downtown from various places. So yeah, like we're basically just going to go with that. I'm not going to replace those houses or anything. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you like later in the episode what I'm sort of talking about. But yeah, so over here we are working on, so this is a building I had placed for that video I made, like the tutorial on like how to do autumn detailing in your city, which I released on the official City Skylines YouTube channel in collaboration with Paradox. So if you haven't checked that out and you want to learn how to do autumn detailing, definitely do so because I show you there. But yeah, like I made this sort of warehouse area in that video and then detailed it and then forgot to save the game. And then I'm back here detailing it again, if that makes sense. So it's got like, I think Do Not Eat made some of these warehouses, and then Semtcorn made some of the others, and then somebody else made others. And I'm just copy pasting a bunch of different damaged road decals and just props and stuff like that. Like basically this is one of the larger industrial areas in the city. We're gonna have, and this is a much denser industrial area than a lot of the others. Like we're gonna have some very sparsely developed industrial areas that are sort of away from downtown by that oil power plant that we made, I think in episode 8 or something. Basically we're gonna do a bunch of this sort of developments very like far outside of the city as well, and the whole old story about the city being a previous industrial hub and then sort of deteriorating, I'm sort of scrapping that because it doesn't make much sense considering the development of a lot of the areas of the city. Like New Belfast is the area where you'd expect there to be a lot of industrial development, considering its geographic connection to downtown, yet there isn't really any industrial there, and I can't really fit any industrial there, and it just doesn't make much sense. So I'm going to go for more of a Portland, Maine type industry situation where you've got a bunch of industry across from downtown, but it's largely concentrated in sort of one area, and it's not necessarily like a huge previous industrial hub. And this obviously isn't meant to be like a Rust Belt city, so it doesn't have to be. But yeah, I mean, it's just making sure that I've got that sort of story for how the industry in the city developed in the past is definitely important, because I don't want to just randomly place clusters of industry in different places where it doesn't really make much sense. Like this warehouse district is pretty far from, I mean, it's next to river connections, but not as, like these river connections are not necessarily like navigable. So I'm not putting too much industry here, but we'll put more industry sort of, once again, further away from downtown towards the ocean. this music is honestly so intricate and good that I have just left it with you for a solid couple of minutes now, which I actually haven't done in a while. I've been trying not to do that, and I've been trying to just have voiceover for basically every second of the video I can, because it gets a little boring listening to music after a while. But this music is really good, really good. Like listening to Chopin instead of like some newly created like royalty-free stuff is nice. I like that. Hopefully you do as well. I think I'm gonna try to stick with this, but it's definitely up to you guys. So tell me how you enjoy this, like just generally using classical music, and you could definitely suggest other classical music, or I mean, I guess Chopin's romantic music, I guess, but classical, romantic, baroque, anything you want to suggest. If you want me to stick with this stuff, I can download it and use it. So definitely let me know how you enjoy this, or if you want to see or listen to, I guess, some different sort of stuff. So yeah, we're building some public housing right now because I have not built enough public housing in the city, and this section of the city is where you basically expect to see public housing like this. So I've placed some of these King Leno apartments here, or well, I think they're meant to be public housing anyway, but yeah, I just basically placed some parking lots, which are actually probably too many parking lots, and I placed some paths, and it wasn't too complicated. That was good. And then I'm placing like so one of these UK Flats buildings, and then some, like I'm making this not too dense, if that makes sense. Like I'm placing a bunch of trees here. I've got a motel, I've got a gas station. The gas station should theoretically be on a corner, but sometimes you'll find a gas station that's not in a corner. They exist. They're out there. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to detail too much because we've got so much to work through. So I'm just placing a bunch more like houses here. But as you see, I'm not just placing those newer triple deckers that we edited in the asset editor. I'm placing some other stuff that's like older houses that I've used in the past, that you'll notice, because I'm trying to transition away from downtown, because I don't want to just go from triple deckers to those other less dense houses. I want to just sort of start mixing them in and slowly move away from downtown like that, if that makes sense. So we're doing that. And then I'm trying to detail a little bit of the area over here. Not really even detail, I'm just placing some trees. But yeah, we're just basically gonna go through here and fill a bunch of these gaps with houses, basically. And I'm not gonna worry about they're gonna be a lot of trees here, just sort of behind the houses. I also have sort of this new style of doing tree and nature detailing for, not really new style, just a new way I'm sort of doing it. Which you'll see in the next episode, because I'm getting a little tired of just using tree brush and covering up an entire area with trees. Like, it's pretty realistic for New England, but not everywhere in New England is going to have that. Like, there are open fields that exist in New England, and clustering trees is a lot more realistic in some sorts of areas. Because next episode, we're going to be building a medical center, and it doesn't make sense to just surround it with trees, especially considering it's right next to New Belfast. So you'll see this sort of style of detailing I use there. It's so, like, if you're complaining about having too many trees here, I will be changing that as we build a bunch of stuff that's sort of closer to downtown. But as we move further away from downtown, there'll be fewer open areas, and there'll be a lot of forest, and we're going to build, like, trails and power lines and stuff like that. And it's going to be very rural pretty quickly, because I can't build a ridiculously enormous 2-scale city in City Skylines. Like, if I tried to build Providence to scale, or something like Providence to scale, it just wouldn't work. Maybe I'd be able to manage Portland, Maine, but obviously this is based more on Providence than Portland. It's got both sort of cities in it, but basically it's not going to be as big as Providence itself, just because of like the constraints of City Skylines. However, I'm getting really good FPS right now. Like, I'm getting something like 20 to 30 FPS when I'm building stuff like what you're seeing right now, and I'm really enjoying having that kind of frame rate. So I'm just going to continue building outside of downtown. Probably I do have to build like the sports fields near the university. Like, we've got some gaps that we have to fill, but there's a lot of detail work and I mean, just general stuff that needs to be done in downtown, or like not, or closer to downtown at least. But like we have way more stuff than that to do outside of downtown. So you should expect a bunch more episodes sort of like this, or like where we go back to the lake community and work on that in the near future. So we're sort of finishing out the last part of the video here by working on a high school campus over here by the industry. And we've placed a football field and a soccer field, which you can decide which is which depending on where you live. I just realized. Yeah, it's so weird because it's like my audience is absolutely everywhere. Like I think the amount of people in my audience who are from the US is like, it's easily below 50%. And people are everywhere. Like Germany's a big country. I mean, yeah, just like tell me where you're actually from in the comments. I don't even know if I've ever done that. Just like ask that, but definitely just comment right now. Tell me where you're from, like what country you're from, maybe where in the country you're from. Cause I'd love to hear, because that's going to be I don't know, it'll be a weird experience because I know you guys are from everywhere, but just hearing you say it is even crazier. Just to think that people are viewing the videos from just every single corner of the world. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah, this sort of high school campus here, I'm not putting too much effort into. It's just we need a high school campus somewhere around here. It's not even a big high school. It's just a high school that's got some weird additions that are sort of disconnected from the central school, which I guess might not be that realistic for somewhere like New England, like where we're building. But I don't know, here out in California, everything's detached for like high schools like this. But yeah, for New England, not necessarily, because it's you got different weather there, let's just say. So yeah, I'm just basically doing detailing over here with some of these dirt decals, nothing too complicated. I fenced the area in because you don't want people tumbling down that hill from sort of the side of the road there. And yeah, like, so I've also got this church over here, which I think I replaced it with a different church. I think I replaced it with I forget what that other church is called. But I'm trying to place more churches as well, just like old churches, because they look really cool in these little areas. Yeah, I replaced this church because it didn't have sort of a foundation. Oh yeah, and then you saw quickly that red church there. That's a church by Fine Build that I really want to place somewhere in downtown or in New Belfast, something like that. But I want it down here in the city because it's an amazing asset. But we'll figure that out another time. We are coming to the end of the time lapse here. It's time to hop in game, take a look at what we just built, and then I'll talk about the density disparity that I talked about a little bit earlier and how that fits in sort of with the city. All right, folks, we're in game. We're in New Windsor here. Okay, so downtown is here. This is what we just built in this episode. So this is this sort of warehouse area, which isn't, I mean, I didn't detail it too much. But we've got these vacant lots over here. We've got this sort of larger warehouse over here, this other larger warehouse. And it's this older industrial area. I mean, this is a newer sort of building, I guess, so it's not all completely old, but it's generally industrial. It's next to this other industrial area we had worked on a couple episodes ago, which was like 6 months ago. We've got this church that we built at the end of the episode here. We've got the high school, which once again isn't too detailed, but it looks pretty nice. We've got the sports fields, the power lines, which are going to go sort of across the river and then just sort of cut through here. Yeah, I mean, I like what we built this episode. It was more filler than anything, but I made sure to make it like at least slightly interesting and unique and diverse in terms of the types of buildings we included. Like we have these weird little warehouses here. That looks weird, but I'm not going to change it because this is an older save that I have to like. Basically, the next episode I've already recorded, and we fill in this area over here with a medical center. So yeah, this is like an older save, so there's really no point in me like fixing imperfections. But yeah, like we covered a lot of ground this episode. We built everything sort of in this area here, basically, which is pretty good. That's pretty good. We've got public housing over here, which looks nice. I mean, I think I went a little bit overboard on the parking, but that's fine. I mean, it's America after all. You've got a lot of, like, way too much parking in its cities. So, oh yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so the density I was talking about. So if you remember last episode, I was not sure if the density, because the density of this suburb over here is really low. Like, it's not high density at all. It's pretty rural, and this suburb is higher density, but still sort of lower than you might expect for something so close to downtown. And I was sort of unsure about the sort of development there and how realistic that would be, because over here it's like much higher density, and over here it's even higher density, and it's like even further away from the city. But the idea is going to be, as somebody in the comments mentioned, the development of the city sort of occurred more out this way, sort of on this main landmass here. And then there was this smaller town over here, which, by the way, we have to start working on stuff near. Now we've got houses, so we can do that. But yeah, the development sort of occurred further away from downtown on this main landmass rather than occurring on this other landmass over here. And the industry I was talking about that's going to be lower density is going to occur like in this area right here. It's got more access to the ocean. So hopefully you're looking forward to that. We've got a little industry over here, obviously, which I think looks really cool, and we're definitely going to add more tanks like this later on. I honestly like this. I really want to bring New Windsor to a close just because it's not like I don't want to play it. It's just, it feels so weird working on a city that I started 2 years ago or more. Oh my god, autosave. Why? Stop autosave. Be gone. There we go. It just feels weird working on a save that I've been like working on for so long, that has so many imperfections that I'm not like a huge fan of, rather than like Columbia City, which I've started really, well, not even recently. Like May is a long time ago, but basically recently, and which I've got like much newer assets and build styles for. So I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I'm actually enjoying working on New Windsor, so I'm just going to continue for the time being. But yeah, like these last 2 episodes, we did this and this, and I think we could fill like this whole area in the next 10 episodes. But then we've got so much more to do. It's just crazy how the scale of this city, like already, and then the scale of it as it expands is going to be even crazier. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, it's like people were a little concerned when I said New Windsor was coming to a close soon last episode. It's not coming to a close like now whatsoever. We're still working on it. Like, I just love this so much. It's just, I don't like, it's just the save has been going for so long. It's just like pretty incomprehensible to me, but I'm gonna continue building because there's so much more to do and so many more of these triple deckers to place. And like, look at how far away from downtown we are right now. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, we've been expanding like just a lot. And I'm going to try to find ways to build more unique stuff as we also further expand, just because I don't want to be building exclusively suburbs like this, because it'll get a little bit boring. But we'll see. Next episode, once again, we're building a medical center over here with a new sort of nature detailing style that'll look really cool. We also have to do a couple of episodes where we sort of fill in this area here. Like, we have to do this waterfront with some like lobster wharves and a park. We have to build the dorms for the university, which I'm going to do like sort of in this area, I think. We have to do the sports fields for the university, which will be right here, maybe a stadium, and then like lots and lots of parking lots for the university. I actually like this university a lot, though. Like, if I do that nature detailing style that I'll show you in the next episode here, I think it'll look really good. Just having this university on the water is pretty satisfying. But yeah, I mean, we've got like so much more work to do. This is like this map is so big and it has so much potential. And this is you're currently looking at over 2 years of work, which is crazy. But yeah, like we started this city in 2017 and it's 2020 already, which is, once again, pretty incomprehensible to me because it's just been going on for so long. Like, I've never done anything like this. Like, when I tell people that, they're like, what? How have you been working for so long in the city? But I mean, I still love it just as much as ever, and it's got a lot of potential with, like, I have to replace all these houses with triple deckers, which once again we'll do in a live stream. And then also I figured out, I fixed my recording software, and now you've got in-game sounds here, hopefully, and that's cool because it's nice to listen to stuff in-game, even though the default sound pack gets a little bit annoying after a little while. But yeah, I think we're going to end it off here. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Next episode, once again, we're working on Medical Center over here, which actually ends up turning out great. We clip a bunch of buildings together. It's like sort of a medical school as well, because there are a bunch of university buildings there, which are to connect to the main university, and it looks great, and it integrates pretty well with the Belfast as well. So if you enjoyed and you are excited for the next episode and want to see more, make sure to leave a like on the video. It really does help out a ton. That's how people find the videos, and that's how the channel has been able to hit 30,000 subscribers, which is a huge number. And I hit it like I'm sorry I didn't like catch that right when it happened, but I was like away for the weekend. But I have now caught it, and that is amazing. So thank you all so much. 30,000 is a lot of people. And then let's see what else. Subscribe if you want to add to that number, and make sure to hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button to get notified whenever I upload, so you never miss an episode of New Windsor. And what else? You can support me on Patreon if you want to fly around the city like I am right now, or like take a ride on, like, let's see, we're gonna just hop in a car. Let's like hop in a car right here and see where it takes us. Let's see, we'll hop in this police car right here. Can we do that? Please? What? Oh yeah, there we go. Can I do that? Yes, I can do that. If you want to do this and hop in game and smash into this truck like we're about to, there we go. Support me on Patreon. You can get access to the save game over there. Oh, look at the Boston bus up ahead. It's so cool. I love this street so much. Okay, what else? Yeah, support me on Patreon for that. You could also get access to episodes early on Patreon, which I highly recommend. So hop over there, and you leave a comment telling me how you liked the music in this episode. I certainly enjoyed it. I don't know how much more of it I'll add, or like just basically just I need feedback. So tell me in the comments how you enjoyed the classical music that I included here today. And you can follow me on Twitter for updates, stuff like that, Instagram for photorealistic screenshots, and that's about it. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode.